really unfortunate that we've been blessed with talent and persons such as Marcus Garvey, which is world-changing, and we don't preach his teachings in the schools. Education is not academic. It's all about his complete life. We are all salespersons to others. You sell yourself to your future husband or your wife. What I see too much in Jamaica today is an acceptance of mediocrity. If better is possible, why should good be enough?
On this episode of I Am Me, I get to speak with someone I not just admire and adore, but love. Someone who took a chance on me some years ago when I said I'm the perfect person you should hire to be VK's brand manager. And one would say he's someone who takes a lot of chances and takes a lot of risks. Richard Lake, businessman, father, so many other things. Thank you for sitting down.
It's always a pleasure to be with you.
All right, so if I were to say, finish this sentence, I am, what would you use to finish the sentence?
A proud father.
A proud father. Why? Why would that be the first thing you say?
Well, the most important thing I defined for success when I was still in my 20s is if my children were better persons than myself, that would be the definition of success. And thankfully, my kids have made that come through in spades.
True. I get to see that every day as well. So you are in many industries. You're in construction, manufacturing, restaurant, food service business, and many others. Some people can't even manage one industry. What has been the fire or the fuel that makes you want to take on so many different paths?
Well, there is an old saying that life is God's gift to you, and what you do with it is your gift to God. It shouldn't be that you should approach life with mediocrity, but you should try to be the best you can be. So you shouldn't set yourself any limits. And perhaps I do too much. I would agree to that, but I've enjoyed the journey.
Okay.
And we try to do the best we can be, and we try to encourage others to be the best they can be.
Okay.
And you can never reach your full potential if you don't dream, if you set limits for yourself, and you don't look at possible failures as failures, but as future experiences that will just strengthen you in your journey.
You said in your 20s you decided that being a good father would be your benchmark of success. Well, let's go back a little further. What was it like growing up, becoming a dad?
Well, I was fortunate to have very loving and attentive parents. They were both quite different. My mother was the motivator and the positive outlook, whereas my father was a steady hand and the mind and the analysis.
As most cases in most Jamaican homes. Okay, so you are the eldest of three. What kind of fun things you did growing up that, as a big brother?
Well, we enjoyed family trips together. My father told me when I was 13 that if I were a Jew, I'd be a man, and I should start acting like that from I was 13. So it gave you a responsibility as the eldest child. Not that the younger children needed any particular assistance, but it did provide a commitment to see that you would help in any way you could.
So, big brother, assuming leadership from you were early, was there any point that you felt like it was a little bit too much for you or a little bit overwhelming?
Never. My father, unfortunately, died when I was about 20 years old. And that put me in a more responsible position of leadership within the family. I was fortunate enough for my mother to hand me the reins of the business at a very early age as I left university. And it was all about trying to meet his aspirations because he came from humble beginnings and achieved a lot. And it was my responsibility to carry on that tradition. So perhaps it was just a motivation to continue with his legacy.
So your motivation is to make sure that what he wanted to see come to life.
Yes.
Would you say that gave you a sense of confidence?
Well, the confidence came from within. I don't know that it came, nobody is ever totally their individual. So your parents and your environment and everything played a role. But I've always been a risk taker and always been confident within myself. Not that Khalil Gibran has a saying, which I like very much, says, greater than no man, but less than none.
Greater than no man, but less than none.
So I've never seen myself as less. And I've always felt that I can achieve what I set out to achieve.
All right. So
And obviously, I don't do that every time. But I enjoy the journey and the attempt. The most important thing is to try.
And to learn.
Yes.
So when you don't get to what you set out to get to, we won't call that failure. How do you rebound?
Well, as I said, you
Because a
look
lot
at
of
it,
young people
you look at it
get
as
crippled by it.
experience. You look at it as experience, and you look at it in a broader sense that, you know, it's really whether the glass is half full or half empty. I've always seen the glass as half full and trying to put more in it.
Okay. So apart from taking risks for your own self, I've observed you taking risks with people, giving them an opportunity. What makes you do that? What drives you to do that?
Well, again, recognizing that there's very little difference between yourself and most people other than opportunity. And people many times just need the opportunity to be the best they can be. You were a perfect example of that, but you were confident in yourself, and that confidence came out. And it was not hard to be sold on what your potential was going to be. And you've justified it in spades. Again, if you think of passing on the opportunity you have received onto others, that's the best thing you can achieve. Regrettably, the talent is not as frequent as you see it.
Okay.
You know, even when you look today, it's unfortunate our educational system is not turning out the candidates they used to.
True. So what do you think we need to do differently to give us a higher quality of talent leaving high school, leaving tertiary institutions? What would you suggest as the first one or two things we need to do?
Well, you first need to start with an investment in primary education. It's failing there. We need to put a lot more resources there. We need to support the teachers. The concept of free education should be replaced by no one should be denied a quality education. And I think we are cheating our kids by not providing them with the quality. So whatever the cost of that, we need to pay it. Right? We need to pay the teachers so that we can attract the talent that will improve the young people.
Okay. I know that Marcus Garvey is a passion for you in terms of his philosophy. Do you think if we were to infuse more of that into schools or into the curriculum, that would help with persons having more self-actualization?
Absolutely. I mean, it's really unfortunate that we've been blessed with talent and persons such as Marcus Garvey, which is world-changing, and we don't preach his teachings in the schools. We don't show the opportunity for people to come from nowhere to become world leaders. I think we are missing a great opportunity to educate our children as to their full potential and that there is no limits to what you can accomplish.
I think that you should be doing guest lecturing. Is that something that you will be considering in your near future?
I would love
And if
to
yes,
sit with,
what courses, what topics?
I would love to talk to young kids. I'm not a very good speaker and don't think that I would qualify there, but I would love to sit, and it is my intention to sit with school graduates and just make myself available for them to ask the questions that they may have in their minds and to try to encourage them just to be the best they can be and not to settle for mediocrity. What I see too much in Jamaica today is an acceptance of mediocrity. You know?
And what is mediocrity as defined by you?
Well, mediocrity is accepting the status quo as it is. Accepting your position within an organization, your value added within an organization, rather than trying to stretch the limits, increase your value added, and learn from that experience and add to the organization and the level that makes you invaluable to the organization.
There's a quote that I've often heard you say, and I'm going to paraphrase it, about all the change in the world is due to the unreasonable man.
Yes.
Who said it? And I know
George Bernard Shaw said it.
Oh, really? What
and George Bernard Shaw says, and it fits into what we are just says, the reasonable man accepts the world as it is. The unreasonable man tries to change it to his own image. Therefore, all progress in the world is due to the unreasonable man.
Yes. So basically, you're saying Jamaica needs some more persons who are unreasonable with just cause, because we don't want people changing it to a negative image, basically.
We have so many people throughout the world that Jamaicans have excelled so well that we don't use their example. So we have enough of that.
But we don't know how to sell we don't know sell ourselves to ourselves, first of all. That's what I think.
In a structured way. Sometimes we can be a little too bossy, and nothing wrong with being bossy if you can back it up with performance.
True.
But the reality of it is that we are losing our pride in being Jamaican. There are too much negative, but as the GG says once before, there is more than enough positive in Jamaica.
What is good in us to overcome what is not good in us, something like that. Yeah. 60 years in, what? I know you've said a lot about what we could do, but if you were to target one or two things for the next 5 years for us as a nation to say this one thing to get us to where an independent nation should be at 60 or 65 years, what do you think that focus should be?
Well, the three things. First of all, education. Absolutely, we have to fix it. The second thing is that we have to create the economic base for our citizens, that we are not utilizing all the opportunities that we have. We have opportunities in agro-processing. We have opportunities in Brand Jamaica. We have opportunities in the services sectors and the enormous talent we have to put Jamaica back on the world stage. I really believe that we should be doing much better economically than we are. And the third thing would be to infuse back, as we were saying, the pride of being Jamaican and the responsibility that comes with it to carry the flag high and not project the country in a negative light.
So let's switch gears a little bit. What does Richard Lake do for fun when he's not coming up with 300 ideas in one day or strategizing or leading?
That's fun too.
Okay, other than those things, what do you do for fun?
Well, my first passion now is my grandkids. Just thinking or talking with them, that's my first passion. The second passion is the horses. I've always loved horses, and
you don't
very
ride?
much in depth. No, I don't ride. But I can tell you the history of all my horses going back to 16th, 15th, 17th century. You know?
Really?
Yes.
Why are you so interested in horses?
Well, it's the bloodline. A lot of people don't realize that the thoroughbred racehorse was a created breed. So
Okay,
it has a
I didn't know
history.
that.
Yes, it has a history. And every horse that has ever run has a documented history that you can go back on. And then you have the intrigue. It's almost as when you're breeding horses, it's almost as if you're planning your parents. So that you try to assume what the offspring is going to look like with the qualities. So it's fun, and you watch them grow up. Some of them succeed, some of them fail.
Okay, okay. All right, learned something new today. All right, other than that,
And the music is a big passion of mine as well.
what's your favorite genre or genres of music?
I don't know if I have a particular genre because
Who's
it
your favorite
spans the whole
artist
thing.
then?
There's no such thing as my favorite artist. I would say my 3 favorite songs are Billy Joel's "Love the Way You Are." It's not "Love the Way," it's "Just the Way You Are."
Okay, because I was like, I'm trying to scare my brain.
And then Marvin Gaye's "What's Going On,"
What's going on? Okay. All
and Gladys Knight's "Last Train to Georgia."
right, that sounds serious odd mix. Why those 3 songs are your favorite? I can't know what's going on. Why?
They're just passionate. But I mean, I could continue all the way down in terms of all artists. I mean, music is the spirit of the soul. So, yeah, it's really wonderful when you can enjoy it.
So if you were to pick any song to be your theme song, if you had a movie being made and you're a superhero, which song would be the theme song when the credits are roll and stepping out, triumphant? What would it be?
That's a difficult one.
Don't tell me what's going on.
That's a difficult one. It would have to be an
soundtrack
upbeat.
of your
It would
life.
have to be. It would be the Earth, Wind and Fire song.
Which
It would be-
one?
well, any one of them in terms of it's just the beat
Oh,
and,
the spirited,
and the rhythm
the
and the spirit
crescendo
of yes,
Yeah.
the spirit and energy that comes with it.
Okay. I'm glad you mentioned horse racing and the thoroughbred and the history. I also know something else about you that I find very intriguing. You like to find out when people are born, their horoscope.
Well, there's a fantastic
whole book that you
Yes, it's a fantastic book. First of all, my mother was the person fascinated by horoscopes, and I wasn't impressed. But there's a book called The Secret Language of Birthdays, and I'd encourage everybody to get one. It's unbelievable. And my training is mathematics, and this horoscope is really built around more mathematics in assembling a large number of people with the same birthday, then plotting the characteristics of these people. And thus far, I've found it to be above 85% of all the people that is. So I find that fascinating. And there's actually an explanation given in the sense that we know that the moon has power to move tides and big bottles. So whenever you are born and the alignment of the moon pulls the water that's in your brain, it sometimes ends up with those characteristics. I mean, that's one explanation, and I'm living with it.
Secret language of
Secret language of birthdays.
birthdays. Okay. All right. So the other thing I know, and you have to explain if it's a natural thing or it was trained, photographic memory. Like you'll get some documents and go, and it's like, I finish reading it. Was that something you were born with, or is that something that?
Well, again, it's truth. Numbers come very quickly to me. So if a document has numbers on it, I
so that's the
assimilate
trick.
it. I
Okay.
assimilate it very well. Most people don't know this, but I can't spell better than a 12-year-old. So it's what are the God-given talents you have,
True.
and not being afraid to identify where you are weak, because I don't have a problem with that I can't spell. It perhaps the only time it was a problem was when my daughter was studying for CXCs, and whatever she said the spelling was, I said yes. Because I wasn't much help. But I would make her ace mathematics.
All
yes.
right. Okay. And chess then is part of your numeric.
Well, chess is the best table game in the world, because it teaches you planning. It teaches you that life isn't about the next move, but really the next 10 moves. And therefore you have to be
Life isn't
strategic.
about the next move, but the next
Next 10
10
moves. So
moves.
how does each move connect down the road? So once you're good at chess, you will be good at analyzing anything and planning things and execution. And I'm happy that my granddaughter is now playing chess.
Both of them are playing chess.
Both of them played chess.
Okay, all right. So you succeeded.
Yes, they are. And they're going to be good chess masters in the long run.
Okay. Actually, I have a cousin who is a grandma. She's just left St. James on some scholarship. Jamaica's top female chess player.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I'm going to go back because you mentioned that when you were 13, your father said, you know, if you're a Jew, be a man. But if you could go back, being where you are now, and say anything to that 13-year-old Richard, what would it be?
Well, the first thing I'd say is
Learn to ride a horse.
No, yeah, make sure you build a foundation in doing your schoolwork and education. Make sure you have a solid foundation. But education is not academic. It's all about, it's complete life. But you need a base of understanding to propel you forward. And I would say, believe in yourself.
Why those things? Why would you say that to him?
Well, because education is the great equalizer. It makes no difference where you come from or what your history is, what your financial situation is. If you are well educated, right, you are equal to anyone.
Okay.
So it provides you the justified equality that is necessary. And secondly, you have to be confident in yourself, in whatever it is that you plan to do. It's not important whether you get it right or not. It's important that you emit that confidence, because at the end of the day, we're all salespersons to others. You sell yourself to your future husband or your wife.
Yeah.
You sell yourself to your boss.
That's all?
Yeah, absolutely. Trust me, if you didn't sell yourself, you wouldn't be Mrs. Radcliffe.
You know something I don't know, Mr. Lake? All right, so confidence, education. So I'm going to bring you back to the present now. You say your grandchildren give you the greatest joy. And I know the parents are doing great jobs, but what do you do as granddad to help them to feel confident or become more confident?
Well, all you have to do is be there for them, to let them know that you're available anytime they want. And then secondly, to encourage them in whatever it is they do, to indicate how proud you are of them. My granddaughter the other day was in a equestrian show, and she fell off the horse. And I was so proud of her that she went right back on the horse.
Oh, wow.
She wasn't shaken at all, you know. She went right back on the horse. Now, obviously, she was going to score many points for for the exercise.
Yeah, but she got up.
She came out to me as the winner because she didn't have any fear, and she knew that, you know, that is just one event, and she can pick herself up and go right on again.
Yeah, she didn't have any fear. I'm glad you went there, because a big part of the reason why I'm doing these interviews is because even though, as you said, when I met you, I was confident, I was dealing with self-doubt in a lot of areas, and it took specific work to get to being fearless or become more fearless. And so this conversation about identifying confidence from early in your life, I hope that it will inspire other persons to say, okay, but I got something good going on for me here. Let me step out in that confidence until the other things come, you know, to inspire. Because that's all we can do for each other, is inspire or provide opportunity, as you said earlier.
Yes, and the mistake most people make is they think that everybody feels they have all the answers. Nobody has all the answers.
True.
But the important thing is that you're willing to learn, and you're willing, just as you said, to be bold in where you know you are good at. And that's what I would encourage people to do. Find a passion and go all in.
I know you've retired, but when you fully retire, when you are just going to be traveling the world and not being in meetings a lot, what do you want to be most remembered for?
Well, I don't want to ever fully retire, as you, as,
I wonder
as you say.
You get
Because
bored.
I think, yes, I think
You get bored. I can't see you fully retired,
no,
to be honest.
mine would be a very unfortunate thing to waste.
True.
Certainly, what I've retired from is making decisions at operational level. So I'm grateful for that. But I will always be having a vision and always be encouraging people to try to achieve that vision or their own, and always try to be the best we can be. As I say, if better is possible, why should good be enough? So there'll never be a situation in which we stop trying to be better.
This has been fun. This has been very enlightening for me. Got to see another side of you, some of which thankfully I was aware of. But I'm giving you the last word. Apart from life is not the next move, but the next 10 moves, what else would you want us to leave this conversation with?
Again, the innate talent of each individual. Everybody has a talent that is superior to the other person. You know, if you give me a football, is a different thing than if you give Messi the football, right? And similarly, you just need to find your talent, be confident in it, and be the best you can be.
I'm actually going to say something you said 3 years ago because you said you don't like to speak. I don't know if you recall this. There was a scholarship event and you asked to take the mic and you said this to all the recipients. It's not where you start.
Yeah,
It's where you end up, where you finish.
Yeah.
So we're at the end.
Yes.
And it's a good end. And thank you.
I thank you
Yes.
for including me in your list.
Of course. You've been an inspiration to me, so there definitely would have to be you on that list.